Good morning, 21st of February 21, Building Associations 28. And how can we improve your home, dear seafarer, and your building, dear ship owner? Okay, we have to go back to the statutes of this association, and we have to discriminate between the number of proprietors and the percentage of proprietors. There is a conflict of interest in all the building associations that really do not clarify whether it is the percentage of propriety or the percentage of proprietors, because there is always a lot of small proprietors that have, for example, one parking space that account for the biggest proprietor, which could have 25% of the building investment fund, whatever. And this is a very clear conflict of interest throughout the world that we must defend so that there is clarity and transparency. Now, the next area, apart from statutes, is where we have the annual general meetings and the board directors. I mentioned many times that these have to be rotated yearly, and it is very important always to be a proprietor of the building. There is many public, let's say, governmental buildings that are into private proprietors buildings, and this is a conflict of interest. None of those can never be presidents or in the board because they don't defend their own money. And if you do not defend your own money as a proprietor, then you should be stepped out of the system, please. Never ever get into a private building if you are a government agency, because you are disrupting the free competition and the long-term interest of all the proprietors. We could have examples in Spain, for example, in our own building, and that we have, let's say, 25% it is Bilbao Council and these public entities, government entities entering this presidency and the board of the building administration, and they have been here for about, let's say, 15 years, and all they do is a conflict of interest in the price of this brick, because the price of the brick, if you are with the dark side, then it goes down, as I mentioned many times, 95%. So if you are a proprietor worldwide of a building, even if it is a parking space or even if it is a small office, you have to really look at the statutes and define the conflict of interest between the percentage of propriety and the percentage of proprietors, which is binding towards making decisions. It is very important because the judges will not help you at all. They don't really care about what investment your late parents made so that they left you this income of rent or propriety. They don't really care, judges. But hopefully one day they will listen to this video, world judges, and make a very clear definition for all buildings associations so that there is a very clear definition if it is either a proprietor percentage or the propriety percentage. It is very, very, very important to defend the interest of all the proprietors, number one. Number two, it must be also very clear that this government cannot enter into private buildings because there is a conflict of interest. I could be an owner, you could be an owner, and these other persons from these ministries or water department or council or province or local government or central government or European government, and they could simply not defend their own interest because they don't really care how much tax you pay or you do not pay, how much expenditure there is into the building or into the forms. And it is a bit more complicated, but in the end it is cost, and it is the investment goes down 95% if you have the dark side partners. So dark side should never enter into the white side. Dark side, what they should do is put the 50,000 public buildings they have in Spain, all of the public workers in one, so there could be huge saving for the future generations. So mom and dad, please be proactive, because if you are not proactive regarding saving costs, then it means that you are kind of guilty into expending more tax than you should. It is very important to defend this. And I hope you have liked this video, so that in all the associations of buildings in the future we have very simple statutes, standard. I already made some pro forma simulations of what they could have, very simple. Also, annual general meetings could be renewed, the board of directors, which is the one that provides more value to the building, yearly change, and of course, I mentioned also that the dark side building administrators, which you could have very close to you or to me, those are really a conflict of interest, because if they do not defend the interest of all the proprietors, then probably worldwide the proprietors will dismiss these building managers, and it's very bad for the reputation. Listen to my words, it's very bad for the reputation, because if you do have a building manager that is defending the interest of the dark side, then that would be a collateral indirect cost, let's say, for perpetuity, intrinsic compound loss, not value, loss. So it's never one. Every time we have an action that defends this dark side in buildings administrators, then it is times 10. So probably all the buildings administrators of Spain and of the world will suffer from this, which it is not really, well, it is a conflict of interest. I mean, these building administrations should be removed in their own associations. So the associations of building administrations as well, they should have these statutes to clarify that every time there is a conflict with a proprietor, they should really look at, they should be very transparent throughout the world, so that this never ever happens again. Because if they do this fast, it will be 10 times more the indirect, the collateral utility compounded intrinsic that would be generated. It is very, very, very important that building associations understand that all of us, we can defend the proprietors' interest in the long-term compounding of the buildings, houses, whatever you are, dear seafarer, dear ship owner. And it is very interesting that we define with this digital disruption that this is a no. Please, government, go back to your public buildings and leave the private buildings alone, because it is a conflict of interest. You cannot enter into conflicting your non-interest, because it's not your money and your investment and your late parents suffering and sweating and not sleeping for many hours and hours and working, investing, so that they left something for the next generations, and then suddenly these governments and public entities enter into that arena. No, just go back to your buildings, make a saving in all of them, and show to society that really you are trustworthy. Because if you do not, then it is compounding loss of intrinsic value. Think about that, calculate about that, because it is very important to use these digital means, digital teams to defend the humans' interests. I guess so, and make a saving with this digital wave, so we can all surf it in a positive way to show humans that building is a safe place to invest for our and your future generations. Thank you very much. Have a nice Sunday.